Hey guys, so in this one I would like to talk about blueprint function libraries. Those are really useful. So I have a bunch of blueprint in my projects, but I'm noticing that there is some repetitive issues where some functions are just bound to my warlord object, and they shouldn't be, because what if I want to have multiple warlords in my map? Right now I can have only one. That's just how the game is structured, but maybe in the future I want to have 5 or 10. And then there's this function that this warlord has, find closest building, right? So like this function basically is built into that warlord, and it helps him find the closest building to him or her, right? So this is cool, but this should be more generic. Why would I want to find closest building always in relation to my current character? So I created this thing called Blueprint Function Library. And this is super simple. It's not an actor. All you have to do is like right click and then go Blueprint Function Library. And you can just name it however you like. I like to name them a very special way, a BPFL underscore my library or something like that. And then you just make it. And so in this case, I already made one, BPFL world. So I'm just going to delete this one and work on this. And so basically what I'm trying to do here is create a function, a new function. So normally it would come empty. I already have one function here, but here I have this warlord logic which find closest building, right? So this is what this function is, but I want this function to be there and more generic. So let's just add a new function, and I'm also going to prefix it BPFL find closest building to actor. And that will be very generic. So all I'm going to pass in here is just an actor. And I'm just going to say in actor. I like to just name it like that so there's no name conflicts. And this function had only player owned, so that's fine. I can also add that variable there. You probably will skip this one. And so this is like a good way to start. Now all I have to do is basically take all this code from this warlord logic, copy, Control C, go there and just paste it. And so now we just kind of have to go step by step. So first thing I'm going to do here is get all actors of class building, right? And then I'm going to be looping through those actors. And so this is where I was getting my warlord location, right? So in the warlord self means the warlord actor, but in this case, I want to get this in actor and compare its location to those buildings. So I'm just going to get in actor here and plug it in there. And that will basically let me loop through all the buildings and compare their position with that actor. Now, so that's going to just measure the distance, and I need those variables. So once I copied those things, those variables were not created, but Unreal knows they're not here. So if I compile it, it's just going to error out and highlight what's missing. So what's missing is this local closest distance. So I'm just going to create variable, and that's just going to rebuild it. Now local result, that's like, as I'm looping, I'm storing the closest distance I found and the current result, and I'm just trying to find the best one and setting those local variables, right? So that logic is not really that necessary because we're talking about this. Now only player owned, for some reason it's not found. So I can either hook it up instead, or I can just right click and just type in only player owned and then just plug it in here. And delete that one because that one's worked. So now when I compile, this function is ready to go. And it's doing exactly what the other function was doing plus more. Right? So this is really nice. Now I have this function here. So now if I go in here, I can just look for where I was using this function in my blueprints and replace it with the other one. And that's what I'll do. So I know I was kind of using this function here in my widget blueprint building. So what I'm going to do here is right click and type in blueprint function library, BPFL, find closest building to actor. There you go. And so basically, I'm just going to be replacing this with that. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I've got something special for all you rigging and game dev enthusiasts out there. If you've ever wanted to master quadruped rigging from scratch, then I've got the perfect course for you. My quadruped rigging course is designed to take you from zero experience to creating fully rigged animated creature, nor prior knowledge needed. We'll go through everything, building the skeleton, skinning, creating controls, and setting up advanced rig systems. By the end of the course, you'll be able to animate your creature integrated in Unreal Engine 5, bringing your game projects to life. The course is available on my website at Cornica3D and also on Patreon. Become a member, support my work, and get access to this course and a lot more. Trust me, you won't regret it. And so basically, I'm just going to be replacing this with that. So just plug it in here, grab that closest building, and I can delete this function. And so this wants an actor, but my warlord thing is actually an actor. So all I have to do is just hook it in here. And now I have a more generic function that does the same thing. So if I compile, I see that it's all working and just fine. So I can go to my warlord logic and just see where I was using this find closest building. So edit, find in blueprints, and I can look for find closest. Okay, there's a lot of find closest. This game is pretty big. Building. So buy items, for instance, that function, find closest building, right? So I'm trying to find closest building. So instead of using this function, I can just use the other function, BPFL, closest. So I'm just going to copy that so I don't have to look for it every time. And now, basically, I can just replace this function like that and like this. And now, you know, it wants the closest building to actor. So here, all I have to do is just type in self, get reference to self, and plug it in there. And that now got replaced. So you see, this is the kind of logic, and it's super easy. So I'm just going to compile and save. And I'm going to replace the other ones later, but I just wanted to show you this is really cool. Because that way you can isolate your functions and make them more generic and more robust. And then if you want to extend this or have multiple of those, you don't have to have a function per each. So it's a trade-off, but it's really nice. Okay, so let's have a look how this works. So I'm just going to load this game here, and basically I know that as I'm close to this building, like I can enter this building, and I can, you know, then I see my warlord in there, and I can edit the army and whatnot. But I can also exit this. Okay, that clearly didn't work. Right, so I did some digging, and the problem with this function was that, first of all, whenever you call your functions from the blueprint library, and there's functions like get actors of class, they need a world context. And that basically they need access to tickable world that all the actors are in. Normally they just don't know where to find those actors. And so this might just work, but just to be safe, it's always good to just add a get context, get world context, and that way when you plug it in, you can be sure that the function will get the world context based on the actor's past or the caller. The function was called in an actor, in this case in the warlord logic, and it's going to get that context. So it's safer this way. But the problem why this was not working was because when I created that local closest distance, it had a value set to 0. So how this function works is it starts with a big value, and then if it finds a better value, then it saves it and saves the object, and then it just keeps going down this way to find the closest building to the actor. So if we start with 0, it's never going to find the closest building because 0 is the minimum value. So I'm just going to assign it some big value like 1,000,000 or something, and then it's going to work just fine. So this probably has nothing to do with the world context, but it's always good to add that in your blueprint functions. It might work without it, but it's just safer do that to the functions whenever you're calling those get actors of class or find actor or stuff like that. All right, so that's it, and now let's see how it all works with all those functions being called from the blueprint function library. So let's play, and let's load that game. So he's going to come in, and when he exits, he's supposed to snap to the closest building, which in this case it's that building. So it sounds like it works just fine. So as you can see, this all works really well. All right, guys. So I'm just going to end this here. Hopefully that was helpful. Hey everyone, I'm working on my passion project, Beasts vs. Undead, a turn-based RPG inspired by classics like Heroes of Might and Magic and Age of Wonders, but with its own unique twist. If this sounds like your kind of game, I'd love your support on Patreon. By becoming a patron, you'll get exclusive access to the latest builds, stunning new artwork, in-depth game development tutorials, behind-the-scenes dev diaries, and even the opportunity to help shape the game itself. Your support means the world and helps bring this dream to life, so check out my Patreon and join the journey.